Now for the first time on TV, the stories and reports of the people who fly and the aircraft they fly. And you are invited in an exciting, pulse-pumping new television series designed for everyone who has ever gazed skywards and dreamt of slipping the bonds of Earth. The Aviators.
This week on The Aviators, we're taking you inside an en route air traffic control center. We show you an air show at the home of the Aviators. We check out the original corporate aircraft, the Beech Staggerwing. And we learn what the AOPA is doing to protect general aviation in America. From the Boundary Bay Airport, this is The Aviators.
When most people think about air traffic control, they think about control towers. But if you're on an instrument flight anywhere in the world, an air traffic controller in a building like this, an air route control center, is looking after your flight. The Aviators is going to take you on an exclusive inside look.
Air traffic control in Canada is the responsibility of Nav Canada, and to keep the skies safe, Nav Canada manages 41 airport air traffic towers and 7 area control centers across the country. While in numbers there are more towers, the majority of air traffic controllers work in radar stations or en route centers. Previously on The Aviators, we took you inside the tower at Toronto's Pearson International Airport. Today we're going to take you inside the Toronto Area Control Center. While there, we spoke to air traffic controller Ian Thatcher about a number of things, including what the difference is between en route and tower controllers.
The large difference between tower and en route air traffic control. Tower will look after the general vicinity of the airport. A tower control zone is basically about a 5-mile ring around an airport. But basically, from the time that the airplane is airborne, wheels up, it will be in contact with your en route centers, and from departure to destination will be under control of air traffic control, being watched by controllers in en route centers very much like this. Center handoff northeast of Aylmer, 30 Air Canada 37.
Through a series of radar handoffs, air traffic controllers ensure aircraft move safely across the country. Their primary job is to ensure that aircraft maintain lateral and vertical separation from each other during instrument or IFR flights. This could mean controlling anything from a 1-ton Cessna to a 540-ton A380. Despite the size difference, a small aircraft can easily knock a jumbo jet out of the air. ATC has to make sure that these aircraft, which are thousands of feet in the air and miles away, don't come anywhere near each other. To learn how to do this requires not only nerves of steel, but months of training.
I started training about 15 years ago. What we learned was basically about aviation in general, from the pilot side of things and then control side of things. It was basically a generic course, and it got more specific as we went on. I learned en route radar, and I learned tower control as well. I trained for 7 months generic, and approximately 5 months in the simulator here in Toronto, and then about a year of on-the-job training operationally with a licensed controller plugged in, basically watching every move I make until I qualified.
To control aircraft, ATC use radar and position reports from aircraft transponders to know where the aircraft are. Using radios, they will then tell the aircraft what they want them to do.
93 Delta Charlie, turn right 10 degrees for traffic.
At Toronto Centre, a controller may speak to over 1,000 aircraft in a day. To help cope with this, the workload is thoroughly subdivided.
Basically, Canada is broken up into 7 flight information regions. We've got Vancouver, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto, Montreal, Moncton, and Gander. And within those flight information regions, broken up into various specialties. And within those specialties are broken up into various sectors with both lateral and vertical splits. The airspace I work in particular is about 180 miles by 150 miles. It's broken up once laterally, north-south, and vertically we work 24,000 to 30,000, 31,000 to 35,000, 36,000 and up. And the vertical splits are to balance the traffic out, reduce the saturation of traffic.
Ian had a chance to give us a walkthrough of what he sees on his screen and how he controls air traffic.
This is a radar presentation of West High Specialty. Basically, from one side of the screen to another is 220 miles. Just to orient you here with my radar screen, this is Toronto, London, Ontario. Basically the American border here. Cleveland Center is down in this area, areas 1, 2, 3, Cleveland Center.
Aircraft are displayed on the radar screen by a position symbol as well as a data tag displaying the information Ian needs to direct the aircraft.
So this one here in particular is KLM 615, KLM flight number 615, and with the more critical information that we need for this flight, which is its altitude, currently 240, flight level 240 or 24,000 feet, and its ground speed in knots, 420 knots. I can click on it, call up his flight plan. Gives me a lot more information on the airplane, gives me his full flight plan. I've got his transponder code, his type of airplane. He departed Amsterdam, that's the location identifier for Amsterdam. His destination is Detroit, Michigan. His requested final altitude, his speed, which is Mach 0.82, which is basically 82% of the speed of sound at that particular altitude, his navigational equipment, and his full route.
All of the flight information displayed on the radar screen is also kept on paper flight strips in case of a radar failure. Aircraft moving through Ian's airspace follow set paths called airways. These are shown as green lines on the screen. This, combined with the aircraft's flight plan, allow a controller to anticipate how an aircraft will move through their airspace. This can change based on outside factors such as weather.
Weather has a massive impact on air traffic control, more than I ever imagined before I got into ATC. Thunderstorms in particular will throw a major monkey wrench into our operation. Airplanes will go hundreds of miles off course to circumvent thunderstorms due to the violent weather associated. When you take airplanes off the organized flight paths, the complexity of the airspace can increase greatly.
Air traffic control is not an easy job, and the responsibility weighs heavily on these controllers who know that each dot on the radar screen represents an aircraft with hundreds of lives on board. But according to Ian, it's a job he enjoys.
I'd say my favorite parts are the adrenaline rush involved with working high complexity, high volume traffic. I find the job challenging, rewarding. It's a surprisingly light environment to work in, serious as it is. People I work with keep it very light, and I'd want people to understand that it's a difficult job, very challenging job. I'd like people to know that they are being watched for the entire time they're in the air, and that they're under the control of a lot of professional, highly trained people. American 469, roger, maintain flight level 280, KLM 615, heavy, roger. Air Canada 301, maintain flight level 290.
The Aviators, for everyone who has ever gazed skywards.
For more information on today's segments, visit www.theaviators.tv.